That's it. Everything the Muslims left behind has been accounted for.
Good. We'll take it all on our caravan to Damascus and trade every last scrap of it. It belongs to us now.
Oh, is this how the movie intends to justify the fighting to come? For this to be counted as a Meccan offense, Muslim property must be on these caravans as depicted here. As far as I know, there is nothing in the Quran or any hadith that makes this claim. Tabari reports the first recorded Muslim raids on the caravans. Tabari 7, verse 10. In Ramadan, 7 months after the Hijrah, Muhammad entrusted a white war banner to Hamza with the command of the 30 immigrants. Their aim was to intercept a Quraysh caravan. So, the first time the Muslims go out to plunder is 7 months after emigrating to Yathrib. Later in the same verse, they are reported to have gone after another caravan the next month. This means that the caravan trips were monthly at least, and probably more frequent. After more than half a year, any Muslim property would have been long gone. The movie is lying again.
They have taken all our possessions. And after they sell them in Damascus, they'll be on their way back to Mecca with baskets full of gold. They continue to cut off trade to us. And we are starving again. Oh, messenger of God, I know you hate violence.
Ha! Hates violence? Yeah, I believe that. Islam has always grown on its religious appeal, never violence. Honestly, is this fooling anyone?
And take back what is ours.
Muhammad has left Medina with 300 men to take this caravan.
Actually, the guy in the red turban is the one with 300 men. Unless the movie makers are confused and thinking of the Battle of Badr, which comes way later. Here, I'll reference it. Tabari 7, verse 38. I have been informed by authorities that Muhammad set out on Ramadan at the head of 310 of his companions. The immigrants on the day of Badr were 77 men, and the Ansar were 236. But let's return to the present. According to Ishaq 283, a guy named Ammar acted as arbiter when the Muslims and the caravan merchants finally met, and there was no fighting this time. At least 10 more raids would follow before Muslims won any booty. There was obviously fighting between the 2nd and 11th raid, but the Muslims always got their asses kicked. If there was any sense of balance in this movie, that might have been shown, but it won't be. We can't have Muhammad being depicted as a terrorist now, can we?
Ride to Mecca. Tell them to send an army as fast as they can to protect these riches. Turn here and take the sea route back home.
Our army leaves this morning, and you are going to fight in my place.
I won't do it!
Fight for me, and I'll consider your debt paid. Refuse, and I'll kill you here on the spot.
But
Persist.
I looked all over the internet for the Islamic story about Abu Lahab's skin disease. While I found a Wikipedia article on it, I couldn't find the actual scriptural source, and any attempts led to an advertisement page. But my search did reveal that several people agreed that he contracted it after the Battle of Badr. I guess I'm to assume that, of the many skirmishes fought already, but never shown in this movie, Badr is the one coming up now. Actually, it should have happened before Lahab's disease, but this film can't seem to get anything right. They're in the ballpark of Badr, and that'll have to be good enough.
Finally.
Abu Jahl is just 2 days' march from the Muslim camp.
Tell him I'm out of danger and to turn back.
But he has them outnumbered 3 to 1.
Not good enough.
Not against Muhammad. Tell him to turn back to Mecca.
By all the gods, I have not come this far to turn back. No, not until Muhammad is dead.
When the Prophet, peace and blessing be upon him, found out we were no longer facing 30 armed escorts, but an entire army.
Okay, hold up. The narrator just confirmed that this is indeed the Battle of Badr coming up. Keywords, 30 armed escorts. Now listen to this. Tabari 7, verse 29. Ishaq, verse 289. The apostle heard that Abu Sufyan, a Meccan merchant, was coming from Syria with a large Quraysh caravan containing their money and their merchandise. He was accompanied by only 30 men. So, Tabari 7, verse 38. Muhammad set out on Ramadan at the head of 310 of his companions. The immigrants on the day of Badr were 77 men, and the Ansar were 236. So the movie just skipped all the skirmishes fought between the Meccan merchants and the Muslims between Tabari 7 verse 10 and Tabari 7 verse 28. And we're still expected to believe that after all this time, the caravan still contains Muslim goods. The Muslims aren't terrorist raiders, repeat offenders and abysmal failures at that. They're only just now using swords. Anything but the truth.
He called for Shura, the council of his people.
I guess I'm the last to speak. Whatever you choose, we will do.
Then the prophet, peace and blessing be upon him, said, "Go forward full of faith, for God has promised either the caravan or victory on the battlefield."
It's worded this way because Badr was the first time the Muslims actually beat the Meccans in combat after 11 tries. But even this victory was a fail because Abu Sufyan found out that they were coming ahead of time and managed to get away with the caravan. Ishaq 295. Abu Sufyan changed the caravan's direction from the shore road, traveling as quickly as possible. Ishaq 296. When Sufyan saw that he had saved his caravan, he sent word to the Quraysh, "Since you came out to save your caravan, your men and property, go back home." Abu Jahl said, "Badr was the site of an Arab fair. We are going to spend a few days, slaughter camels, feast, drink wine, and have some girls play for us." The non-partiers said, "We came out to protect our property and defend our men. There is no point of staying to fight." So they returned to Mecca. The Battle of Badr is obviously important enough to be featured in this film, so I took the time to read this verse to you so that you would know who the Muslims were facing. It was a remnant of merchants who wanted to drink and party after taking the time to come out, not an army of well-trained warriors out to kill Muhammad. I can sympathize with Abu Sufyan for wanting Muhammad dead in this film, since the chief Muslim wouldn't leave him in peace, but fighting was not something he wished to do.
We met the Meccan army at the Wells of Badr.
There it is.
Have my spears ready. Stay close to me, and above all, help me find Bilal.
The battle began according to tradition. Hamza took up his sword and...
Okay, so you saw the guys they're facing. Do those look like a leftover lot of fat and drunken merchants to you? No? That's because this is the biggest load of propaganda ever put in a film. Even the Meccans are wearing dark armor, while the Muslims are wearing white, to make perfectly clear who the good guys and the bad guys are supposed to be. Now, I'm going to play the movie again, and you're going to see some epic cinematic fighting. Well, not really, but the fighting will occupy everyone from talking. So, over the noise of battle, I'm going to be reading some Muslim poetry from Ishaq 498, 576, and 578. It ought to set the mood. War is kindled by passing winds. Our swords glitter, cutting through pugnacious heads. Allah put obstacles in our victim's way to protect his sacred property and our dignity. Allah's apostle, our Amir, a man whose message we believe, he is a prophet who recites a luminous, light-bringing book. Do the bastards think that we are not equal in fighting? We are men who believe there is no shame in killing. We don't turn from piercing lances. We smite the heads of the haughty with blows that quash the zeal of the unyielding. Muslims. We are heroes, protecting our war banner. We are a noble force, as fierce as wolves. We preserve our honor and protect our property by smashing heads. Ishaq 576. Allah and his servant overwhelmed every coward. Allah honored us and made our religion victorious. We were glorified in the worship of the compassionate God who destroyed them all. He humiliated them in worship of Satan. By what our apostle recites from the book, and by our swift horses, I like the punishment the infidels received. Killing them was sweeter than drink. We galloped among them, panting for the spoil. With our loud-voiced army, the apostle squadron advanced into the fray. Isha 576. Crushing the heads of the infidels and splitting their skulls with sharp swords, we continually thrust and cut at the enemy. Blood gushed from their deep wounds as the battle wore them down. We conquered bearing the Prophet's fluttering standard. Our cavalry was submerged in rising dust, and our spears quivered, but by us the Prophet gained victory.
They're running!
Abu Lahab, you've returned. I've paid my debt. One last thing you should know. God fights on the side of your nephew.
Somehow I doubt that. I think God wrote somewhere at some point, "Thou shalt not steal." The property on that caravan wasn't Muslim the first time, and it wasn't Muslim the next 11. Even if it was, God sure didn't help them in getting it back. The caravan got away. Even the movie admits it.
That fool! Idiot! I told him to turn back! We'll get another chance. That's not the point. We lost our first chance. Now they think God fights on their side.
There is nothing religious about going on armed raids to steal from other people's caravans.
No! You're only a man. His kind comes around but once.
I wouldn't say that. Adolf Hitler also had a whacked-out childhood, hated Jews, and wanted to wage warfare against everyone until his doctrine alone reigned supreme. He even had a book, Mein Kampf, claiming a divine power was on his side. And just like the word jihad is sometimes used, it meant struggle. Really, the only difference between the two warlords is that Hitler was honest about his intentions.
As the gods are my witness, every scrap of this gold will be used against him. We'll buy up weapons and horses. I will show Muhammad whose power is greater.
Mecca has raised an army of 3,000, and they are coming. We are only 700.
After consultation, the Prophet, peace and blessing be upon him, declared, "We will meet the approaching enemy at the mountain of Uhud."
As usual, the movie is painting the picture that the Meccans were the aggressors and the sweet and innocent Muslims were just trying to live in peace. But have the scriptures ever supported their portrayals? Tabari 7:105. In this year there was the expedition of the messenger to Uhud. In year 3 of the Islamic era, March 625, the Quraysh were provoked against the messenger because he had killed their nobles and chiefs at Badr. Muhammad has bereaved us and killed our best men, so help us defend ourselves against him, and perhaps we will obtain vengeance for those he has slain. So it seems the real story is, Muhammad once again brought the fight to the Meccan Quraysh at Uhud, and the pagans were the ones defending themselves. But this story wouldn't make the audience sympathetic towards Islam, so it gets distorted.
We are ready, messenger of God.
Allah!
The Prophet says you must not leave this hill, whether we're winning or losing. You must not let them attack from the rear.
Did you catch that? They're shouting Allahu Akbar just before they kill. Allah is the greatest, and therefore we're gonna win.